What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. And today's episode is Waiver Wire Week 13. And people, the playoffs are here. Are you ready? Are you set up for success? Do you have the right knowledge and tools to get you in that playoff spot, the 6th seed or whatever, how many seeds you got in your playoffs, but the 6th seed? If you're on the break, if you need to have this must win this week, it's time to cut loose guys that are hurting you, burning you, and just taking up space on the bench. So I have a few guys today that can actually help you be support to step up and show out, because based on matchups, based on situational injury, etc. A lot of things going on. COVID is crazy, and it's Monday right now, and waiver wire probably won't be until after Wednesday, which is probably Thursday, which is weird because thanks to Pittsburgh and Ravens game, which has been moved to Wednesday at 3:40. What the fuck? We got football on Wednesday now. So I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get right into the episode. So let's get right into it. Waiver Wire Week 13. Some guys that are still available on the wire that can come in and help you out. The first guy I got is Devonta Booker. Josh Jacobs is dealing with an ankle sprain. I wouldn't count him out just yet. So pending update on the ankle sprain, how severe it is, Devonta Booker could be a nice little plug and play. He showed up and showed out when he was asked upon, when he had a career high of 16 touches against Denver and put up 21 points. That is something that I like to see, while Josh Jacobs was still also running the ball as well. He's been a little annoying, a little pestering, taking away touches from, Josh Jacobs, but nothing too crazy. It's been around the range between 5 and 8 touches a game, which isn't hitting that level of pestering. Just kind of annoying of when he's getting those targets out of the backfield as well. So I definitely like Devonta Booker going against the Jets next week. That is a must plug and play, people. It's based on the matchup. If Josh Jacobs is out, by the way, like I said, he's only 15% owned in leagues. He's still out there for you. You can still grab him. I mean, I don't see you losing any type of playoff hopes or anything like that. I don't see him burning you. He has the Jets next week. So I think this will be a nice bounce back game for Derek Carr, where we can get things back on track, because that Atlanta game was wildly disrespectful, wildly fucking, embarrassing. So I definitely think this is the bounce back game that the Raiders get, that Derek Carr gets, and then, Devonta Booker should be a nice plug and play against the Jets. So full send it, people. Go get them while you can. Now, if you're living under a rock and you do not know what's going on in Houston right now, Will Fuller is done for the season. He violated the drug use. He is done for the season, people. It's starting to make sense why he's been healthy all season. So it's like he was on drugs. So there's that. I don't know, man. A lot of people were taking their Will Fuller victory laps last week after he had probably his best game of his career. And, it makes sense now. He hasn't been injured. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? He's gone so far in the season without missing, a game or two. And it's like, what's going on? Drugs. But, on a more serious note, Will Fuller's done for the season. So who else is there out there to go pick up? I think Coutee should be a nice little pickup, to the point where Watson's going to have to use his wide receivers. Cobb is on IR, so he's out for, 2 to 3 more weeks, and only 2% owed in Coutee, and, in the sleeper, according to sleeper. So only 2% owed, man. He's the next man up. He's definitely going to be an option. He's definitely have to, stay healthy as well, because we've seen last season where we've seen like flashes of Coutee, where he's been, very explosive, getting separation. He had all the right tools and mechanics of a good wide receiver, for, be a valuable target for Watson. But now we're kind of like pushed to the point where, like, all right, we have to pick him up if we just lost Fuller. If you're looking for somebody that can support you, he'll be a number 2, look in that offense. I definitely think, we're to the point now where Coutee could be valuable, but it's definitely based on if he can stay healthy. We've seen the dude flash last year. We've seen the dude, do some flashes this season, but it's based on opportunity. Now he's the next man up. He has opportunity. He has a chance to show that he could be, a wide receiver 2. I'm not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 2 with Fuller there, Cooks there, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just saying he's the next man up in that position. Let's see what the kid can do. So again, if you're looking for support for this week and going into the playoffs because, again, Will Fuller's done for the season. He might even miss one game next season. I think he is actually. Yeah, he's going to miss one game next season. I don't know if it's going to be with Houston or whatever team he signs to, but this definitely hurts his off-season chances to get that big contract from Houston or from anybody, really. So, like I said, a Coutee, a nice little pickup. You know what I mean? If you're looking for support, if you're hurting that wide receiver, et cetera, and you need to get rid of those bench warmers on your bench, I think Coutee could be very valuable. Woo! It is finally happening, people. But is it? I don't know yet. It still worries me. Cam Akers is finally getting the keys to the car. He's finally, being able to stay out late. He's finally looking like the guy. I mean, if Sean McVay doesn't take this game into consideration or the game last week into consideration, that Cam Akers is more efficient, that Cam Akers is getting it done, busting off big runs, you know what I mean? It looks like Henderson is starting to play the 1B situation here, and Akers is playing the 1A. And then obviously Malcolm Brown is still there as well, which is pestering, which is annoying that they have a three-headed monster running back committee. But we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Now, hopefully, again, McVay sees that Cam Akers should be the guy. He needs more touches. Imagine if Cam Akers got 20 touches a game, every game, and this is more, hopeful to be looking for the future for next season that Cam Akers actually becomes the guy. But he's only 33% owned. The past 2 weeks, he's looking great. He's an obvious grab. If you people have been living under a rock, go look up his highlights from last week and the week before that. He's looking very good. He bust off a 61-yard run. It definitely just makes me more excited that I have him in some of my dynasty leagues. It makes me more excited that I have him on my bench, in some of my leagues where I can possibly start him in a couple of the playoff games. But again, there's a lot going on in LA. There's a lot going on with that running back room. It still worries me that Henderson is still getting more snap opportunity than him, seeing targets out of the backfield as well. But we have to deal what we got to deal with now. Again, I'm more excited for next season for Akers. I think it's a full send. I definitely think, when we start talking ADPs for next year, he's going to float between that 6 and 8 range. Definitely, man. I think some people are going to do some reaching on him as well. But that's for the offseason. We'll get into ADPs later. But Cam Akers is an obvious pickup, people. He's definitely more efficient. He gets the job done. Looking like the guy. But I still worry because we cannot trust Sean McVay. So I wouldn't go throw him into your starting lineup this week. I just wouldn't do that. We have Arizona, I believe. I wouldn't just go throw a Cam Akers in your RB2 position. You know what I mean? Or maybe your flex. I just will, again, pump the brakes, you know what I mean? I'm not ready to just load that gun and pull it off. Now, come playoffs, if he performs very well against this, Arizona defense, and he's actually looking like to be the guy, and Sean McVay is actually wisening up. And also, you have to, remember that Sean McVay panics. He gets away from the run, gets away from, a committed run. He gets to pass happy, and then Jared Goff is throwing a ball about 41 times, completing only 26 of them. So it's like those are the games that are very frustrating. So we have to basically depend on Sean McVay and his coaching, knowledge and his tendencies, and basically just try to build some trust with him. But again, I'm more excited for next season. I'm more excited if he blows up this game. It's going to be a full send in the playoffs. So go get Cam Akers, people. 33% owned. He's still out there. Next up, this was a head scratcher. I wasn't too sure if I was going to put this guy on there because I don't know if he can help you consistently for the last week and then into the playoffs. Gabriel Davis, you know what I mean? John Brown is on IR, so he's going to miss some time. Now, he's been looking like the guy to be the third option because we know he's going to, Josh Allen's going to force feed Diggs. Diggs is going to see double-digit targets, and Cole Beasley is even, looking really good. He's getting those targets as well with John Brown out. So Gabriel Davis is like the third option. You know what I mean? It's not really like something you can depend on week to week, but he did have 2 games, while John Brown was out where he's putting up 15 points. He found the end zone. But what's worrying me is the volume, like the 3 to 5 targets a game. He's only catching 2 to 3. That I'm not sitting okay with to put him in my flex or my wide receiver 2 spot. That right there is kind of like, I don't know. But if you're in deeper leagues, you might as well go pick him up. Again, if you're really desperate, if you're sitting right on the bubble where you're like 6-6, or like you're looking for a miracle to get into that 6th seed, Gabriel Davis might be support. He might be able to help you in that first round or get you there to the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I definitely like that He's coming into his own while John Brown's out. He's the wide receiver 3, like I said. So he's the third option. So Diggs is gonna feed, and then if Cole Beasley ends up getting open down the middle or anything like in the slide with a mismatch, then he's gonna hit Cole Beasley. So there's that. So again, I definitely like Gabriel Davis. I'm not too high on him. Like I said, I question about putting him on this episode because he's only 5% owned. So he's definitely out there. So if you have the room, if you have the ability, go get him and put him on your roster and get some of these bench warmers out like Marquise Brown. You know what I mean? He's definitely one of the guys that I'm done with. Done with. You have no clue. But yeah, he's definitely a nice little pickup. I mean, if you feel comfortable putting him in your starting lineups, more power to you. But it's more so, let's see what this blossoms to. You have one more week. You have one more week to blossom. Have him on your bench. See what happens. He's definitely looking like the guy. I think John Brown doesn't come back until week 15, so you still have some time to get the best use out of Gabriel Davis to help you in these most important rounds, the first and second round. And then hopefully you're in the championship and you probably won't have to play him. Maybe your team shapes up and everybody comes from IR, COVID, and et cetera, and then your team just looks great. So let's hope for that. So Gabriel Davis, you could pick him up. So that's all I got for you today for the Waiver Wire Week 13. Not many people out there for you to go and grab. A lot of, the options are obvious of who you should go grab and who you should drop, et cetera, et cetera. But these guys, I think they could be a nice support system for you to get to the playoffs and get you a dub this week. So I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.